Obviously, things have changed considerably from the start of the season, and that's put, I suppose, extra pressure on us as an organisation to try and make sure we get things right for next season. So the process that we go through now is first and foremost looking for a head coach. That's absolutely key. We're not necessarily looking for a director of rugby in the old style of things where Les basically was. We're looking at a head coach who's going to be very much tracksuit orientated and focused very much on the performance on the pitch. Dependent on who that person is, that will obviously decide whether we need any additional support. So it may not just be one more coach coming in. There is a possibility it could be two. It's very much, as I say, depends who that first person is. But that first person is a critical component, and I'll be working very closely with the IRFU on that. We've already started that process with David Nusafora and Joe Schmidt to a degree. He's obviously got a wealth of experience in the coaching world, and it would be silly not to use their expertise. And as we all know, we operate in an environment where we have very, very close links with the IRFU. We have to have good communication, we have to have a good relationship moving forward, especially whenever you've got national players and you're working on their player minutes. So having a good relationship, having a coach that can deal with that interface really well is absolutely critical for us moving forward. So as it stands with the IRFU, there's basically a rule there where we can have 5 foreigners, 4 out-and-out foreigners and 1 special project where 3 years and they're naturalised. As many of you I'm sure know that's now changed, and from the start of this year it's now 5 years, which makes the special project a little bit redundant in many ways. If you were looking at something like that, you're probably looking at more at academy and development level, to be brutally honest. There's no point bringing in a 24 or 25-year-old on a special project status who's only going to be naturalised by 30. We look through our own squad, we look through the succession plan, we look where our gaps were, and we try and recruit a foreigner. It's going to make a significant difference to our team, to the performance, maybe to the leadership, maybe to bringing through 1 or 2 younger players in their positions, making sure that they're not standing in the way, obviously, of our own talent that's more than capable of playing first team rugby and European rugby at that stage. Once we go through that, which would be really myself and the coaches, predominantly the head coach or the director of rugby, as it would be in the past, we would then go to the IRFU and we would obviously discuss that and negotiate with them to try and make sure we can get as close as possible to our wishes. Obviously, we're all well aware we didn't get that with the Ruan Pinar situation, but by and large, we've been fortunate in terms of what they've agreed to. Whenever they agree those positions, the next stage really is for me to go into the market and try and find the best possible options for the criteria that's set out. So once the coaches decide on that, what I do is I basically put them all in front of the coaches. Coaches go through all the footage. The days have gone when they look at a highlights reel. Highlights reel is certainly a thing of the past. 5 minutes or 6 minutes watching somebody in their best bits. I think even I could probably have a decent 5 or 6 minute reel. So we could do a lot more than that. We go through a lot of their matches. We have our head analyst, man alone, who'll go through probably their 2 or 3 most recent games in detail as well. Put that in front of the coaches. Coaches look at it and decide, right, this is what we're after. I go, perfect. I go to the market, out to the agent, and I try and negotiate the best deal I can then to get that player in. That's effectively how it works. It's quite an interesting thing, and this is a big thing that's come of where we are right now. I wanted to try and do a really in-depth analysis of trying to find out where we are as a group. And it was last year I sort of felt that we don't have a lot of leadership in our group, and so we try to do a bit of fast tracking because we've got some real quality players between the ages of 23 and 26. So we thought, right, we'll try that and see if because these guys are going to be the next generation, supplemented by what we already have in our sort of over 30 age bracket. But it was only really this year, whenever we're in the situation that we are, that you go into a bit more depth and sort of realise, and it gives a bit of an indication, I think, as to why we are where we are. I kind of separate our squad into 5 sort of distinct groups. You've got the NIQs, and overall the success of our NIQs this year has been poor. I think we've got to be brutally honest there. It's not been successful, and if we want to be a successful side, we probably need 3 top end. I don't like saying world class because you don't have to have a world-class name to be top end. You might be just a great buy and a great find. Nakawara for Glasgow is a good example of that. They would have got him very cheap. Nobody really knew much about him, and he was just unbelievable. So there is an element that it's not always about the name, it's about getting the right person. This year hasn't been effective for us. The next grouping really within a squad is your over 30s, who provide a huge amount of experience to your group, but they've got to be involved in your starting 23, because that's where the experience really tells what they do on the pitch, how they lead the guys in and around the change rooms just before games, settling young players' nerves. Another area where we are really, really struggling, we have one guy over the age of 30 in our homegrown players who would be a regular in our 23, and that's Rory Best. Outside of Rory, we now no longer have that grouping that's actually contributing in our 23. They've been in and out at different times during the season, but if we have everybody available and everybody fit, none of those guys now make that. So we're a young group. 26 to 30 is really the next age bracket you look at, and that's done from a point of view of when you are supposedly at your peak. There'll always be exceptions. There'll be guys that come through at 21, 22 who are exceptional. There'll be late developers, particularly in the front five, who might hit their peak at 32, 33, it is possible. But by and large, 26 to 30 is where you're at the peak of your powers. The backs, obviously closer to 26, and the forwards a little bit closer to 30. In that bracket at the moment, in our starting sort of 23, we have 23, 25 players. We only have two players, homegrown, that are at the peak of their powers. You know, and that marks ourselves against Munster, who have about 11 in that age bracket. So not only are NIQs not at the level that we really want, or performing at the level that we want, our experienced over 30s, we don't have the numbers in our starting 23, and the guys at the peak of their powers are also not on the park. All of our strength is in the under 26 bracket. That's where all our strength currently is. And I suppose from the point of view of looking forward, at least that's something to hold on to, and something that's quite exciting. That these guys are not at the peak of their powers yet, but the academy guys coming through, they're the next generation, and as long as there's no gaps, that 26 to 30 bracket, there was a 4-year gap effectively, 06, 07 to 09, 10, and that was probably where we just haven't had anybody that's come through that academy 4-year block for whatever reason. What happens is you see the effects of that further down the line, and if your eye's not on the ball further down the line, you've missed a big chunk of potential players. We feel that our academy is actually very strong with the amount of players we've got coming through. About 2 years ago, I sat down with Kieran Campbell, and we talked about the type of player we wanted to bring forward or bring in. Type of culture that we're looking to build moving forward, and what we've probably been missing over the last number of years, I don't think I'm just, you know, you all know this anyway, is a real hard edge in our pack. So we have to find a way of rebuilding that, and I think whenever you look at the quality that's now in there, the likes of your, you know, Tom O'Toole's, your Adam McBurney's, Jack Regan, who we've taken up from Leinster because there's a dearth of second rows all around the country, which everybody's aware of. You know, John McCusker, who hopefully is going to come through as well, Joe Dunleavy's, Aaron Halls. You know, there's more and more of them who are starting to come through, and we're starting to see a little bit of game time out there and see that they've got something a little bit different about them to what we've had over the past number of years. And I think for us, that's quite exciting. My view on it is very, very strong with us moving forward, and we've got total buy-in now from everybody that instead of carrying extra bodies within our squad who may play the odd game here and there and play B&I whenever it's on, we actually just take it out and we fast track the academy guys so as they become our second, third choice, probably not second at this stage, more than most, but third choice guys, and they're the ones that we're calling upon to actually start making a difference and fast track. Now, we've got to be careful with that as well, because you have to manage your players. I don't like the word load, but I'm sure you know what I mean. You know, every one of them is slightly different, and you can't just throw them in, otherwise they'll break down. And there are instances of that in the past, years ago, where that has happened, where you're managing players for the rest of their career at 22, 23. We don't want to do that. We've got a duty of care to a young player as well. And whenever they come into our setup, it's very different to one of their peers, you know, playing every week and training on a Tuesday and Thursday at club, to what they're put through over there. So we have to manage that as best we can. But we want them coming through, and we've started that already. B&I Cup this year, we've had 11 academy guys in that setup, which is the most we've had by quite a distance. And what's also great with that is we've had our best pool stage so far as well. We've 5 out of 6. Only Leinster, I think, we're in the group stages, have actually got 6 out of 6, which is hardly surprising. But so it shows that not only is the quality of the academy getting better, but we're actually helping our depth as well. I suppose the last sort of thing I just want to say is a bit of an overview as well of why I think we're in this position at the moment. Obviously that age argument I talked about, those gaps, the over 30s experience, the 26 to 30 not being there, the NIQs not providing the level that we need right now due to injuries in particular. Injuries to critical people. You know, you take Marcel Coetzee out, you take Jared Payne, out, and Paddy Jackson through unavailability, as everybody recognises at the moment. Those are 3 of your most important players in your squad, and I don't think you can underestimate the damage that does to you. And the last part of that is why we're here is poor performances. That's, you got to take out the chin. You look at all those factors, you sort of think, well, no wonder we're struggling a bit, but actually we could be in a better place with better performances as well, and that's ultimately what everybody wants. I know that that's all you guys want more than anything, is just to be out there and just be proud of the performance that the guys deliver. So that's something, obviously, that's going to take a lot of hard work to try to rectify and get sorted. It's the age-old thing that you're still playing on a bit of turf. It shouldn't be any different. Obviously, the support, the support can make a difference to a degree, but ultimately your players running out onto the park, and within the first minute, you're just absolutely focused in the game. You don't take in as much of the surroundings and what else is going on, so it shouldn't have a huge impact. And we have looked at lots of different things to try to address it. It's quite embarrassing the level of detail we've tried to go into to try to find a solution to it. It starts with your travel for, do you go the day of a game and trying to have as little time away from your own environment as possible? Do you go 2 days early and try to entrench yourself in the whole village, city, whatever it is? Those are 2 aspects. Type of hotel you stay in. Do you go for top end? Do you go for bargain basement? Food wise, we've gone into every bit of detail. Preparation leading into a game, and it's difficult. I don't have and I wish I had an answer for it. But one thing I should certainly say with with confidence is that it's something we are constantly looking at and trying to find a solution to. We do have psychologists that come in and do different things on whether it be on leadership, whether it be on playing away from home in different surroundings. It's such a big question, and it's hard to answer it perfectly. But one of the things I think we certainly feel that we're trying to improve is how we operate as an organisation in totality. So how we're aligned to each other. Probably from the outside, you wonder, are we all in different segments? Are we all in little silos? And is there uniformity in our goal, in our aim, our vision as to what we want to be moving forward? And I think that's a big thing that we're trying to address now, rather than maybe looking back and looking at all the problems and trying to see how it can work together, what the future of that player group, that age group that we have, the quality of that academy starting to come through, 7 guys starting in that Irish 20s at the weekend. That's encouraging, those things are encouraging. To try and get behind us and support and have faith that we will start moving in a different direction now, and that effective change. Now, I can control some of that, I can't control other parts of it. The effective change that I'm talking about is obviously predominantly around the professional team in the academy and how we align ourselves with domestic rugby as well, because I'm a big believer that all of that, if all of that works really well, because I'm a big believer club rugby still got a huge part to play, and it can't be dissociated from the pro game. So we want our club rugby to thrive, we want to get participation levels higher, we want to get more kids involved in the game, we want them to see their role models out there that they're aspiring towards, that they look at them and they go, yeah, they're brilliant on and off the pitch. That's the level we want to get to. We've got a good budget in the Pro 14. We've got a good budget. We're right up there, you know, and that's why we should be performing better. We would have probably the third or fourth biggest budget, you know, in the Pro 14. That's probably why quite often the budget does equate to your finishing position, and if you don't spend the money, we're not going to win things. That's for sure. So of course, I would love to have more money to spend. Will we get that? I don't know. There's a few things changing. Obviously, the TVs thing as well. I don't know what the impact of that yet's going to be for everybody. You know, so and there's other things within the structure of the competition as well. So there are things outside of our control that maybe, and obviously our relationship with the IRFU is critical and how they can support us. You know, that's something we're discussing a lot at the moment. Whenever you do have a big drop from 5 to 2, it's got a huge impact, and that again is another reason why we're in that transition. So I mean, I don't dispute that the performances have been way below the level that we expect. Absolutely. What are the reasons for that? I mean, one of the things I would say is the level of competition is not good enough in our squad at the moment, and that doesn't necessarily mean just the quality of the player. It means the competitiveness of them. You know, we're now getting a lot more players into the under-20s setup. So the biggest thing for us is, right, how do we make sure that they stay at that level? Not sorry, stay, but they're still as competitive against their counterparts down in Leinster whenever they come through to the pro team. And that's obviously one of the big things that we have to get right. In terms of playing for the jersey, sometimes whenever your confidence is low and your whatever it is, whether it's your game plan, whether it's your structures, whatever it may be, if there's any uncertainty within that, or players go outside of their remit or do something that's not quite right, it creates problems and holes everywhere that sometimes looks like people don't care or don't give a toss. Well, I would argue with that. You know, the players do care, trust me, and it's not. And it's also not just about, you know, the players have to be born and bred Ulster to show that heart and commitment. I mean, for my money, one of the first things on the team sheet would be like a Louis Liddick, you know, because of what he does. Because he's solid, he's everything that, from my point of view, moving forward in the pro team, I want to see people, they don't have to be rock stars. They have to be people who are competent in every aspect of the game, who will put their body on the line at every opportunity, who are really good culturally, who are just people that you can rely on. And whenever you see their name in a team sheet, it gives you confidence. They pay for the head coach pretty much the entire salary, depending. Now it depends what level it goes to, but they pay the lion's share of it, if not all of it. So naturally, because of that, they have a very big say in it. But for us, it's really important that we have a big say as well in terms of the type of person that we know fits here. But we also got to appreciate, as I think I maybe mentioned earlier, that head coach has to work really closely. I know your argument there as well about the disappointment of not seeing our Irish internationals more. And we'd all love to see that. It's probably, in a weird way, though, it's one of the attractive sides for players at that level to stay in Ireland, because they're managed, because they know their bodies can't cope with 30 plus games a season, and it's why the French market can be a little bit less attractive, even though the money can be considerably more. So we just have to deal with that for now, and it puts more pressure on the coaches to really manage and rotate their squad as best as possible and try and very much predict moving forward. But it's a joint decision. No one's going to categorically go, this is what's happening, and we just have to accept it. No way. If they put forward a coach and we fundamentally didn't think he'd be the right fit, then we wouldn't allow it. We've got to look at a glass half full, around half empty. We've got to still have aspirations to make sure we're in the Champions Cup. But listen, you're quite right. You can't get away from the fact it's less attractive if you're playing in the Challenge Cup for high-profile players. For coaches, not so much. They'll see Ulster Rugby more as a challenge for them, as an opportunity because of where we are. But I think a prospective coach and we've already talked to a few, do see it as an unbelievable opportunity. And one of the bonuses I suppose we have is we have a good name out there as a really strong club, as a club with great tradition, with a fantastic fan base, you know, great facilities. I think for a coach to have an opportunity to take the reins here is actually quite an exciting prospect. I think for players, it depends, and quite often the player that sees that as something they don't want to be involved with is probably the wrong player to go after. It's a little bit like the money thing as well. You know, it's trying to work out what drives them. You know, what's their main ambition for coming here in the first place. If their main ambition is just to play European rugby because they want to be flashy and be seen, you know, globally, then that's maybe just not quite what we're after. So again, on the player side, I'm not overly worried. I don't think it'll change if we did end up in the Challenge Cup. That wouldn't change how we want to go about rebuilding moving forward.
No, that's a fair comment, and just to address those 2 points, as probably most of you are aware, the TV contracts are done by the tournaments, so the clubs do not have any input into the broadcast rights. So the Pro 14 fully take on that negotiation, and they are in the final stages of it. So in many ways we don't have an input into it, and they don't ask the clubs for an input into it. We will be really disappointed if there's not some free to air in there. We know how important it is around the growth of the whole game. So we have made that point, and I would like to say that the CEO has wrote a letter to say that he does support the free to air and how important it is to the general public and to the sponsors and everybody. On the second point on the Friday nights, one of the things that any broadcaster does ask us in conjunction with the tournament is, what is your preference of slot for playing in? And that won't change. We will still, EPCR who run the European Champion and Pro 14, we get input into that. What is your preference of slot? And it will continue to be a Friday night. There's no way we will be changing that. And broadcasters want to go with the preference slot for clubs. It doesn't always work out, and you know we've had a few Saturdays and we had the odd Sunday a couple of years ago, but broadcasters don't want to go against that in the main. They will do what they can to support the club's preference of slots because they want the stadiums to be full. Nobody wants that. You know, they want the atmosphere, and it's why we've got so many Friday nights, because we are the preference for rugby on a Friday night, because they know when they turn on the TV we're going to have, you know, near enough full stadium and the atmosphere is going to be good. So that will not change. That was by no way meant to try to, you know, capture you for 2 years. It came from actually the last survey we did, where there was genuinely people asking, why do you not have a 2 or 3 year buy-in option like many of our Munster do it, Leinster do it. We actually do it on this side of the ground in Premium Lounge, so the majority of season ticket holders over here are on 3 year agreements. So it's done as an option, really more than anything, and born out of the fact that we want to give people as many options around their season tickets. We introduced this, and with the 10-part payment plan, to hopefully give people a reasonable option to buy into the club. We know many of you renew your season tickets and have been loyal to the club for a lot of years, so it's really there as an option. It's not like if we got any more money, our finance director would let us spend what we got in year one when it's spaced over 2 years. So the percentage of people that will take up on the 2 year, there's been quite a few already, but it's not there to increase revenues, it's there to give people an option. We've made 2 changes to that. We've increased the age that you're still a child to, so effectively it'll be 16 and under, whereas it used to be 15 and under, and we've now introduced a young adult category, which we understand there is a large population of that, the audience that are in that age category. we need to look after. So we've got that young adult category now across the stadium. Two things. The IRFU are currently conducting a strategic review, and as the IRFU are our parent body, we will be aligned in with that. They're responsible for the governance and the structure of the 4 provinces of Ireland. The review that we have alluded to is a strategic review of our business plan. We are in year 5 of a 5-year current strategy, and that review will be around the strategic business plan moving forward. What is the best model for us? How do we fund this club and continue to move forward? How do we develop the grassroots game? That is what the purpose of it is, and it will be led by a outside consultant, but to help the team here deliver it.
We never really focused much on, I think it was the Ravens whenever I came in, and I think it was maybe seen as a bit of a laughing stock for a lot of supporters as well. We weren't winning many games in the B&I Cup. We were pretty poor, to say the least. So we took a conscious decision that the A team, well, we changed the name first and foremost to just get it back to the A team, and made it really important. What we did was we tried to make it more connected with the senior side. So the seniors in the past, whenever they dropped down to the A team, there was a bit of an arrogance about it, I felt, whenever I came in, that they weren't as interested in playing for the A team. That's changed completely now, and now we've got a few guys in the more senior setup. Whenever they drop down, they're a really good influence and they provide good leadership. Our academy team run that A team now, so what we do is we put Kieran Campbell is effectively the head coach in there. We have Willie Anderson as well, helping out, and one of the main coaches for the A team. They train, they integrate with the senior team as well. So whenever they're leading into any of their games, they train together. They're the same sort of style, patterns of play, a lot of the same calls. So that there's really good connectivity basically between the seniors and between the A team, and also between the academy coaches who take that group and the senior coaches. Because I think again in the past, they were just two very, very separate entities, and they weren't really joined up in any shape or form. I think what we're trying to do now, whenever you talk about structures, is get a much better system in place where the club game and the key players who are coming out of the schools, or the best players out of club rugby who are moving into the academy, that there's almost a seamless transition, that academy players moving into the senior setup, again it's almost seamless, and that's going to happen through where they train, how they train, the coaching staff that's involved. So it's not something completely new to them whenever they make the next step. So I think there's far, far better integration and understanding across the board of all our coaching staff, of all our players, about the pathway and what's expected of them. There's no short-term fix, and it's not good enough at the moment. The only salvaging factor, I suppose, within the top tier of that is we've got two clubs obviously right at the top end of 1B that hopefully, if we can get one automatically up, you know, either Ballinhinch or Banbridge, and the other one gets into a playoff, there's a chance that we get two up into 1A, which obviously would be, you know, would be excellent, you know, and give our guys a better level of competition. Malone are obviously playing in 2A. It'd be great if they could get promoted as well. Malone's a really good example of a club that's, I think, done brilliantly over the last period of time, because we used to have a policy that we've adapted and changed constantly over the last few years to try to get a better relationship between the club and the pro game in terms of release of players and how it all operates. And they were probably the last team to suffer from, whenever they dropped down a division, that all players were taken away from them and they had to kind of rebuild almost. And they've done a fantastic job, obviously, being able to do that. Because one of the key things we've got to have is we can't have the clubs reliant on the players that Ulster give them. If they are reliant solely on that, then there's no substance and no foundation to it. So it's getting a good balance of quality of clubs playing higher up the divisions, but also quality of club player. The structure of the All-Ireland League, or UBL, is clearly under review at the moment, and is probably going to be changed very soon. And a lot of that is going to be built around developing a top tier that is probably a closer level to the pro game, which may mean that A-level rugby may become a thing of the past down the line. Certainly can't be for now, because you need that level of competition. But if we could, in the next couple of years, build towards our clubs improving and getting at least a few 3 or 4 teams up into that top, say, 2 tier, whatever it may be, then you're starting to get a really, really strong level of competition that's almost akin to championship over in England, which has been, you know, great for the English kind of pathway, because so many cut their teeth at that level first. In terms of the funding, I mean, one of the things, and I'm probably not best placed to talk about the detail of it, to be fair, but one of the things that I would certainly like to put in place moving forward, aside from having greater, which we're starting to do, greater understanding of the club's needs, exactly what they need to improve, is starting to look at the coaching as well, more than anything. So, and that goes the whole way down, and I think that's something we've noticed all the way down to mini rugby, that and through schools, the quality of coaching is probably more critical than the player base, to be brutally honest. We need more people coaching at those levels.